without this is not me asking what is like what's the best band you've seen or got to not seen but got to shoot for to put down any other bands. All bands are great, but what in your opinion has been the best band you got to shoot for that you were just like so psyched about?
That's a hard one because all of them, like the
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
the
yeah.
first, the first big band I shot was King 810 because my buddies opened up for them
Dude, that's a
summer of last
sick
year.
band. I love that band.
That was the first like big band that I shot, and after that it was Signs of the Swarm. Got to
Dude,
shoot
I had
them.
Bobby on,
Oh, you
their
had Bobby
drummer.
on,
Yeah, I've seen them
dude.
twice this year.
They're so good live.
Yeah,
They're
dude.
so good. They had
Their
so many
new song,
strobes.
Unbridled. Oh my god.
It's so good. I need. I'll
Just
send you.
nasty.
I'll send you some of the photos I took of them
Yeah,
last year.
dude, please do. I would love to see them. Dude,
Uh,
their vocalist, David, crazy. Animal. Just
Inhuman.
an animal, dude.
That
I
dude
love
makes
him.
like 10 sounds in one vocal line.
Yeah.
But yeah, Signs of the Swarm was a good one. Fit for a King, Silent Planet, Avoid. Oh, Holofront. That was the other band that was on that tour.
Yeah, dude.
That was my
Holofront's really
first
good too.
like big show. So I was super stoked about that one. I don't know, man. The band that keeps coming to mind is Under Oath because it got my favorite photos of all time, and that's a band that so many people like got into the scene with, and they broke up and then came back, like back in 2016 or whatever. But I would have to say Ghost Inside, even though I haven't posted my Ghost Inside photos from So What. Ghost Inside, because that's like whenever I was dropping out of college, I was listening to Ghost Inside. They're a band that like really just helped me get through a lot of bad parts of life. And so I remember doing photos for them, singing Avalanche, singing The Great Unknown in the photo pit, getting done, giving my friend my camera, crowd surfing to Engine 45 and Aftermath, and the security guard caught me and he was like, "Not the fucking camera guy." And I was like, "There's more where that came from, baby. Like, their set ain't over yet."
Yeah.
Probably Ghost Inside. Ghost
That's
Inside and
so
Devil Wears
sick.
Prada. Because Prada was like, I was shooting them, because I shot them at So What too, but in a festival environment, it's so different. Because
Yeah.
everybody's shooting them. But like,
Yeah.
with the Devil Wears Prada show, that was like, there was a lot of bad shit going on in my life. And that night was just one night of nothing but fun. And I remember being in the photo pit and I was like, oh my god, like back in 2008, I was playing The Sims in my room, like back in seventh grade, listening to Hey John, What's Your Name Again? Like
And here you're in the
listening
photo
to
pit.
all of Plagues, like Dead Throne. When that came out, I was jamming it. 818. Like I grew up on Devil Wears Prada,
Yeah.
and I shot them, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm really here. I'm
Yeah.
really doing the things. And then, the self-reflection thing, I'm always thinking about how like 14-year-old me would just cream himself
Yeah.
because it's like, hey, all your favorite bands? Yeah, you can now do photos of any of them. Also, you know how you always wanted like a pop punk girl? Like now you're dating a pop punk girl. Like
Yeah.
literally everything that you didn't have that you wish you could have had as a child, you will manifest into your adult life. Like
Yeah.
you will be stable, you will be happy, like all that stuff.
You have the vision. You just have to have the chase for it. That's all it is. Like it doesn't matter if you get it first or last. It's if you never give up. That's all
Yeah.
that matters, really.
Ever
And
since I was a
yeah,
kid, I wanted to be in music, and I was like, I'm gonna be involved in the music scene some way. I tried back when I started my photography. I did a little podcast where I would interview Dallas bands. That lasted like 4 episodes, but we pre we didn't pre-record our episodes. I said, hey, let's pre-record 5 episodes and then start recording again. My partner said, okay, I made the Instagram. Here's the first post. First episode's going up Friday. And I was like, we just recorded it yesterday. And he was like, yep. And so that was a recipe for disaster. But I was
yeah,
involved in the music scene. And so I was like, whatever, I'll do it.
yeah. So if okay, referring back to Saints Can Lie, kind of backtracking a little bit. If they do tour, I think they said they have an album coming up soonish, and that they want to put out in like the next year or whatever. I don't know.
I hope to God it comes out next year. It's
Yeah,
been waiting long enough.
yeah. I'm not asking you to divulge any more information than I know or what anyone else knows. But if they are to tour, are you going to tour with them?
100%.
That's awesome.
I don't want to do touring full time. Like I really enjoy my home life. I enjoy getting to be
Oh
home.
yeah,
But if Saints Can Lie tours, I'm touring.
yeah,
I've already and my girlfriend is very supportive of the fact that I would like to do at least 1 or 2 tours in my life. So
yeah. It'd be
yeah,
super sick,
If Saints Can Lie goes on tour, I'm going on tour. I'll
dude.
fight
Yeah,
anybody to be on that.
yeah. Dude, I'm just hoping they have an Iowa show. I doubt. I hate to say I doubt, but a lot of people don't come through Iowa, and it really sucks because like the home team had just had their first Iowa show, and they have 300,000 monthly listeners. And by an act of God, it was at my college campus. What are the odds? What are the odds? I was literally doing the podcast with them. I'm like, so have you guys ever done a show in Iowa? They're like, actually, we're doing our first show ever in Iowa on this next upcoming. They were on their way to go tour with, I can't remember what band. They just got done with a tour with something called some band with a Ward Friends in there or something. It's another pop punk band. And they're like, well, on our way to go to the first show, we're going to stop in 2 places. One is in Iowa, then another is somewhere else along the way.
Dude, the more you say the home team, I think Bummer Brews, the publication that I worked. So a little backstory on Bummer Brews. They're the publication that I kind of joined at the beginning. I stepped down from there though because they have a lot of photographers and shows just get claimed like that. Like publications don't want multiple people covering the same show.
Right.
And so I like my small team of people. But I ended up stepping down from Bummer Brews because of that. But I think they covered the home team.
Really?
Yeah, I think they did.
That's crazy.
They had to have. Yeah. They covered the home team.
That's awesome.
In one of their things. Oh my gosh, dude! Issue 3, the cover. Here, hold on. Let me.
Yeah, 100%.
The cover of their 3rd issue is the home team. As soon as you said that name, I was like, I know them. I've heard of them. Yeah,
dude,
they interviewed them and
such a
everything.
sick band. Yeah. Do you like Veil of Maya?
Yes, actually, I enjoy a little bit of Veil of Maya. I actually just helped my buddy film a video cover for one of their songs.
Yeah, the home team in their latest album did a song with maybe a couple songs. Like, don't quote me exactly. I know they told me on the podcast from like September, but they did do a couple or one or more songs with Lucas from Veil of Maya, which is
that guy gives out vocal
crazy.
lessons too. My buddy that did the cover that I just shot a video for a few months back, he was taking vocal lessons from him.
That is sick.
I've heard he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, that's what they were saying too. And then, do you know the band Nevermore or Arch Enemy?
I know Nevermore is they're okay.
It's either Arch Enemy or Arch Nemesis. I don't know. I don't listen to them.
Oh,
but...
I think there's both. But Arch Enemy has a female vocalist, and if it's them, they're kind of older. But they have a video on YouTube of their drummer doing a drum solo back in like 2006.
Yeah. Well,
and I watched
Jeff
that video
Loomis
religiously.
You know Jeff Loomis?
I don't know Jeff Loomis.
Okay. Well, he played in Nevermore in either Arch Enemy or Arch Nemesis, both bands as a guitarist. But anyways, super well-respected guitarist. Like, he is a crazy shredder, like, insane. And so the home team got Jeff Loomis to do a guitar solo, like a 1-minute guitar solo. It's so sick.
On a pop punk album.
Yeah, on a pop punk album. It's like their closer song on the original album before it went deluxe, and then they threw an extra song on the end. But dude, it is such a badass solo. Like, dude, because so it's like in the beginning you kind of have your soft pop punk, and then you get some heavier songs during the middle or / end, and then you have kind of like an acapella kind of song, and then you jump into the heavy song at the end of the album. Dude, it's such a badass album. I'll send you a couple songs after this.
I'm gonna listen to them on my way home.
Yeah, dude, they are awesome. Do you have any bands to recommend me or anyone else listening?
I mean, my top bands. Let me go
Other
back to
than
my
Beartooth.
let me go back to my top albums. Oh, Casey. They're a
Dude, they just got back together.
you like Casey too,
Yes, I love Tom
dude.
Weaver. I love
Okay,
Tom Weaver, dude.
okay. Hear me out. It's time for us to bury our love vinyl box set. I have it. You know the vinyl box that they put out? I bought
No,
it for
dude,
$200. $200 off somebody off
dude.
Facebook.
You want to know the tragedy? Here's the tragedy. I didn't start listening to Casey until they broke up.
I got into them. Casey was one of those bands that I was listening to, and my partner at the time was like, "Why do you feel so emotional about this band and these songs?" And at the time, in my head, I'm like, "Because of you." I relate to these songs because of you,
Yeah,
dude. Casey, oh my god, me
they're
as
an
soon as
awesome band.
I'm telling you, man. Tom posted that thing back in like
Yep,
September
yep.
about his relationship, and my girlfriend loves Casey too. And I was looking at her and I was like, "Hey, Rain, listen, Casey's gonna come back. Tom got out of this. They're gonna come back." And she was like, "No." And then they came back and they
Yeah.
put out Great Grief.
What they released? I only saw the Instagram thing.
Dude, yeah, they have a song called Great Grief.
Oh my
Their
god, dude.
their distributor accidentally posted their another song called Atone for like 30 minutes, and then it was taken down, and I listened to it. But dude, Great Grief is such a good song. I love
Dude,
Casey. Like if Casey ever comes to America, I don't care where they play. I'm flying there and I'm watching them.
because they're from South Wales, aren't they?
Yeah. Somewhere
That's
somewhere around there. Somewhere
yeah.
that's not America, and it's
Yes.
somewhere in the European continent.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
Dude, they're so good. I've never actually met another Casey fan.
I
I
I
wore this
yeah,
shirt and I wore this shirt and I was like, I'm gonna shoehorn Casey into this
yeah.
somehow.
You don't have to. We're already doing it, dude. That's
Okay.
I
All
love
right. So tell
Casey.
me. Okay. Favorite Casey song?
Dude, hold on. Let me see. Let me pull up their Spotify right now, and I'm gonna see if I have any. Dude, because I know I was telling people about Casey like a year or two ago,
Dude,
and
I've
I
been
think
plugging
Teeth and Hell.
Casey.
I think Teeth and Hell from the Fade album.
Those are such good ones. Sleep is
Yeah,
probably one of my number ones.
and then Wound from the Where I Go when I'm Sleeping.
Okay, so you know the Casey lore then. You know that all of their songs, I mean it's not really a concept record because it's all stuff that he's been through, but you know that all the songs relate to each other and that like all the songs have callbacks to other songs. Whenever I was doing one of my first full, because sometimes I'll just sit down, I'll get very high and I will listen to all of Casey. And whenever in Wound, whenever he says, "In all the ways that I'm weak, I'm also strong," because in another song he said, "In all the ways that I'm strong, I'm also weak." I was like, genius. We could have an entire podcast episode devoted to how much I love Casey.
Dude, so how did you learn about Casey? I want to hear your
Dream
story, and then I'll tell you mine.
Dreambound. So you know
Dreambound.
the YouTube channel Dreambound?
I
Okay.
believe so.
So
Maybe we're
they
thinking of the same video. Maybe we're thinking of the same video.
Okay, so Dreambound is a YouTube channel that posts mainly melodic hardcore bands. And a lot of the bands sound the same, and a lot of the bands the vocalist doesn't match the music. And if the vocalist doesn't match the music, I kind of get turned off. But I saw the music video for Funeral. I was just going through one day and I was like, Casey, the Funeral. Huh, this looks sad and it sounds sad, so I will probably like it. So I played it and I fell in love with the song. I was like, the way so emotional. It's so slow and then so heavy and then so slow and heavy and it ends on such a high note, like such a heavy feeling. And so I was like, okay, I'm scared to listen to any other songs because the thing with me is like I'm afraid to listen to a band single because what if it's the only song that sounds like that? I went back and I listened to all of Where I Go When I'm Sleeping. And I was like, okay, this shit, this fucks. Like, this is hard.
Yeah.
And then I listened to Love Is Not Enough. I listened to their albums backwards. And then once I became like a super fan, then I would just regularly listen. I would start with Teeth. I would go all the way down to Wound. I would listen to every song in order to get the full effect. And even in Great Grief, I think they have some callbacks to some of their older stuff.
Dude, after this, I'm definitely listening to it, dude. I didn't even know they put something out. That makes me so happy.
Dude, okay, so it's a lot more melodic, but after the chorus plays, they do something with the guitar that they do in like Fluorescence.
That's
And
another
then
good one.
okay, so you know the second verse, it goes into the screaming.
Yep.
Great Grief does something similar. And as soon as it starts, you're like, oh, Tom's about to let loose.
Yeah.
And he does. And it is. I love Casey
Dude,
so much.
do you know why Kate? Well, the reason why Casey might not have been a thing.
Are you talking about like why they broke up originally?
No, they could have not been a thing. Like Tom might
Oh,
not have
because
ever been.
Tom auditioned for North Lane.
That's how I found Tom, and that's how I found Casey.
I found his North Lane cover after I found Casey, and I was like,
Of which
man, this guy
one?
was
I
almost.
think he did
I
two.
I don't remember which one, but I remember watching it, and I was like, oh my god, this almost wasn't Casey. Do you remember why they broke up?
I don't exactly. Do you remember? I don't.
So they broke up because yeah, so the person that a lot of, and so he felt weird singing all these like negative songs about this person. And also, he always told himself that if he was no longer feeling his music live, he didn't want to be a band. Like
Yeah.
Casey doesn't want to play songs that they don't have an emotional attachment to anymore. So like some bands like Beartooth's I Have a Problem.
Yeah.
Like they don't really play that song as much anymore, but after they play that song like 50 times, it loses its meaning to them.
Yeah. Or like
And so
sick and
that's what
yeah,
happened.
like sick and disgusting too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like that's a song that I don't think they've ever played live, but it's a thing of like they don't play it live because if they play it for two tours in a row, that song's not going to mean anything to them.
Yeah.
It's just going to be another song. And so Casey got that way with their music, and so they were like, "Hey, it's time to hang it up. Like we don't want to be not authentic. Like we don't
Yeah.
want to be disgenuine." And I thought that was the hardest thing a band could do. I was like, that man.
Yeah. It takes balls to do that. I will give them that.
Yeah, and then they broke up, and then I spent the next 3 or 4 years trying. I remember I spent about 6 months trying to get, and it's time for us to bury our love vinyl box set, and I found it on Facebook, and I immediately sent the person $200. I think they might have even shipped it from the UK, so it might have been like a little over 200.
Worth
And
it.
that is
Hey, if it's a
my
band you love.
dude. That is my prized possession.
Oh my
Anytime
god.
I find somebody my vinyl collection, I'm like, this is Casey. This is the only one that matters. That
Yeah.
and Hybrid Theory's 20-year anniversary.
Yeah. So like that's like me with Sleepwaker. Like I have this awesome Sleepwaker hoodie that I got at the concert when they came through Iowa with Eye of the Breather. And like 3 months, 4 months later they broke up. And I'm so mad I didn't buy more merch. Like I want every album like because I like throwing CDs in my truck and everything, like so I get to listen to just a slightly higher quality of music when I'm driving around. But dude, oh my god, they didn't have well their latest album I did not appreciate it as much while they were still touring, but now after they broke up I'm like this is my favorite album.
The
Yeah.
worst thing.
And now and my buddy has it but I don't. I'm like I almost want to like try and like burn that CD, like just get like a blank CD and burn it.
Well, I'm
But
not even like the biggest like audiophile. I don't really care for like CDs versus streaming as far as like quality of music goes. And I know that like vinyl is like it's superior. Get a good sound system and your vinyl is going to sound 10 times better than anything else. Cool. I don't care. I don't care about that stuff.
yeah.
I like having it and I like being able to be like I was a part of this. Like
Yeah.
I was able
That's
to find
yeah.
this album whenever they sold it and not resale for $200 like counterparts. Oh my
Yeah.
god, they're vinyls.
Yeah, dude. What's crazy is now that you say that, it's like I am a huge audiophile, and I don't know why this part of me has to be a snob because I can't hear anyways. Like I'm always saying, what do you say? But I can tell the difference between an MP3 and a WAV file. I don't know why. Don't know why. Couldn't tell
Dude,
you.
everybody has that thing.
Yeah. I don't know what makes me
Everybody
so
has
damn
that thing.
picky about it, but I can totally tell you if it's like if you're playing a 10-second clip of a CD and then a 10-second clip of an MP3 file, the same song, I can tell you firmly which is a CD and MP3 with 90% accuracy. 10%
Oh
failure.
man.
Yeah, but it's a blessing and curse because, what if you can't get a CD of something, or what if they're charging $50?
And then you have to settle for
Yeah,
Spotify.
yeah, or is it worth that 50 or $60 for the CD they don't sell anymore? So then you're buying resale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
it's
just do it
like,
to collect them. But dude, there's totally a valid argument on the quality of it.
yeah,
Everybody has their thing that they get to be picky about.
yeah,
Mine is tattoo artists.
dude, I Bose headphones, right? Bose headphones. I wish I wasn't as much of a snob. I wish I could just settle with Skull Candy earbuds. It's like I wish I could just be happy with $10 headphones, but no, I gotta have the high end.
With headphones, I'm a
Whatever.
little more picky about. Like with my wireless ones, like recently, so my headphones stopped working. So I've been using my girlfriend's AirPods, and I'm like, man, these AirPods are nice, but they're gonna rub my ears raw. Like I need something with the little thing that actually sticks in your ear. Because
Yeah, yeah,
AirPods
yeah,
just hang. Fucking, I hate it.
yeah. I have the Bose ones, the wireless ear sports, whatever, and they have like the thing that fits into your ear, so that adds like an extra sense of, hey, I'm gonna stick here and not fall out. But then I'm a huge sucker for like the over the ear ones because it helps with noise canceling, as Bose already does. But yeah, no, I totally get it. But as much as it pains me to say, Bose is not the best headphones. It's actually Sony.
It's yeah, dude. Hey, Sony fanboy here. So yep,
Yeah,
Sony all the way.
they have actually. It's just a fact that they have the best noise canceling in the market. But it's the WXH 1000 whatever that one is, whatever the $400 pair is. That
Sony's
has,
just godly at everything. The
yeah.
Sony lineups, Sony cameras. You cannot tell me that there's a better camera around like the price range that Sony is that does better low light and has faster autofocus. I will
That's
not
neat.
take that
Yeah,
argument.
yeah. So what camera did you start out on for your photography? I
Uh,
don't want to say it's that one, right?
it was definitely not this one. It was
Yeah.
a Lumix G85 with a kit lens, and kit lens is the lens that comes with your camera when you buy it. It's normally shitty. It's low quality.
Yeah.
You can make it work. Like you learn how to make it work. But I
Right.
would rent so it was a micro four third. Okay, nerd time. It was a
Yeah,
micro
nerd time.
four third camera, which means that this lens is a 28 to 75. If I put this lens on that Lumix with an adapter, this would now become like a 50 to 200 or something, because the sensor, oh shit, the sensor crops, so it zooms in kind of automatically.
Yeah.
So Micro Four Third, it was such a pain in the ass. So I would rent a Panasonic 25 millimeter lens whenever I would shoot bands, and I charged bands $50 for photos. And whenever I shot 4 bands, I had $200. I bought the lens that I was renting, and then it was just straight profit.
Yeah.
Not really. It's not a lot of profit, but then I had that camera for a couple years. I then went to video. I went through that thing and I came up with some money. I got a Blackmagic 6K camera, so it was able to shoot in 6K. Missed that camera, but then I sold my Lumix and I got a Canon EOS RP, not the R. The R is the expensive one. Broke boy over here, balling on a budget. And what's funny is I only had that camera for like 3 months. It was a good camera, like it wasn't bad, but I sold my cinema camera, which I shouldn't have done. I sold my cinema camera and my Canon, and I got this. And whenever I go to shows, a lot of photographers have like camera bags and a couple cameras, couple lenses. Nope. This is my
That's it.
setup, whether I'm doing video or photo.
So
I'm a one trick.
what resolution can that shoot in?
It can go up to 4K. It can shoot 4K at like 24 to 30 frames per second. But what I do, so like with some of those, with the reels that I've been making, I shoot at 120 frames per second in 1080p, and that allows me to that's slow mo. Like I can slow down clips, I can speed them up if I want. It's kind of
Yeah.
the world is my oyster. I
So you
wish I
said
would have known that going into some video shoots, but
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So you
So
said
after,
4K 30 FPS for that camera.
yeah, which is
So
pretty
this
standard nowadays.
yeah. This is such a dick thing to say. And this is me just being naive about the camera world. Like I genuinely have no idea what makes that 4K 30 FPS better than this 4K 60 FPS. You know what I mean? iPhone 13 Pro
So
Max.
it all has. Oh god, there's a lot of like technical things. The amount of megapixels, like the amount
So
of depth
define that. That
you
yeah.
can get.
So
I
megapixels.
I
Define
can't
like
define it. I don't know anything.
I don't
I
I
just
don't
know
know.
camera go burr.
Yeah.
I know that like so with your iPhone, you don't get to set your exposure. I mean, you can tap on the photo and drag the little exposure thing, but you
Yeah.
don't mess with exposure. You don't mess with shutter speed. You don't mess with any of that. It does all that for you. And so, because of that, it really limits you. That being said, you can do a lot. The best camera is the one you have on you. If I have my iPhone on me, I'll take photos with my iPhone,
Yeah.
and I'll still make banger photos because at the end of the day, it's all about composition.
Yeah, and you know what you're
But
doing.
exactly, like a good photographer can make anything work.
Yeah.
But as far as the recording things, there's so many ins and outs that I don't care to know about.
Yeah.
I
Like
just
so you
know
just have
that
your
I
hobby.
wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that the Sony A7 III is a camera I've wanted since I was like 20. It's like 6 years ago. Whenever I really wanted to get into photography, I knew that I wanted a Sony A7 III. Now I have one. 6 years later.
So you're reminding me of one of my favorite guitarists of all time, DJ Ashba, who was in a rock band with 6 a.m. and actually a former lead guitarist for Guns N' Roses. And so just a little fun fact to the irony. Guns N' Roses was brought up by Motley Crue on the Girls, Girls, Girls tour in '87, and then Nikki Sixx basically stole their guitarist from Guns N' Roses to go help with his side projects. So it's just funny. It's like,
What
hey,
happened?
yeah. It's just like, hey, I'm gonna bring you up, and then I'm gonna steal your future guitarist. You know what I mean? But no, so DJ Ashba and I actually just got his signature Schecter this year. Dude, it's such a sick guitar. It has Sustainiac. You know what that is?
Yeah, I have a friend
Yeah.
that used to have a guitar with a Sustainiac
Yeah.
in it. It was also a Schecter.
Yeah, so it has a Sustainiac, and then it has active pickups. I think they're EMGs, and then a Floyd Rose, and then a kill switch. So it's just like a full kitted out guitar. This thing's so sick, dude. Like, oh my god. So yeah, this guy, he doesn't know theory at all, and there's like this guitar YouTube series that's like, bet you can't play this, and it's just him
Oh
just
yeah,
doing
I know
some
what you're talking
crazy
about.
like yeah, and he just goes on there, and then so they always like play it first, and then they always slow it down and then teach you how to play it. And he's
They
like, if you
slow
can,
it down.
slow it down to like I can actually see what they're doing, right? No, but he's like, yeah. So if you can show me how I did that, I'd really like to know the theory behind that because I don't know theory. And I'm like, this guy has played all these badass solos that I listen to on repeat and doesn't know theory. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like,
You just
how?
need a basic understanding of stuff,
Yeah.
and then
So
you
a
just
guy,
noodle around.
So a guy who doesn't know theory, just guitarist for Guns N' Roses, one of the most acclaimed hard rock bands of the '80s. Crazy, blows my mind.
Here's my crash course on photography and how I shoot. Shutter speed. Okay, this band's moving around a lot. I need to shoot at a high shutter speed so that way they're not super blurry.
Yeah,
Okay, my f-stop. If I shoot at 1.8, only like their guitar is in focus. If I shoot at 3.5, the entire band is in focus. I would like the entire band to be in focus. Oh no, I now have a very fast shutter speed and a very high f-stop. I need to turn up my ISO because now my photos are too dark. Boom. You just fiddle around with your settings. Da.
So how much of your work is set into the setup of your camera versus post edit?
Uh, I'll make it 3 categories. So setting up the camera is like 2%. Composition and shooting live is 80%, and then the rest is post. Because I don't do like
Yeah.
Photoshop and stuff.
Really?
Like the photographers I mentioned earlier, like James Kaufman and Justin Rose, they they make amazing photos and then they put their photos together in Photoshop and it looks amazing. I don't know how to do that. So I haven't really dived into it yet. So my photos, I just worry about getting the composition live and then I go in and adjust them in Lightroom.
What do you adjust? Out of
I
curiosity.
just I just like the exposure. So I can send you an example of like a before and after.
Yeah,
But
that'd be
really like
awesome.
you have the raw photo which is a little washed out. Colors aren't really popping. And then I just go in, turn up the brightness, like make the picture brighter, and then I tone down like the blacks and the whites and the colors.
So you get a
Sometimes,
little bit of washed out.
yeah. And then like some of the photos, like the plot new photos that I posted, um, a lot of those photos were like dirty red. And normally I love red, but it was a two-tone thing where half the photo was brown, half the photo was red. So I took the reds and I made them brown. Like you can do a lot of color
Yeah,
manipulation.
yeah, yeah. I that's interesting. Like I love learning new things like this. So it's like basically you're like, oh, crash course time. I'm like, I'm just imagining just like someone typing in crash course, set up Sony camera or whatever, and it's just like, hey, if this is the scenario, do this. If this is the scenario, do this. You know, it's like I think that's like you were saying earlier. Like you were new once in the photo scene, and that's someone gave you a crash course, and now you're giving it back. So if anyone listening to
Exactly.
this is,
Yeah.
be like, oh, I think it'd be cool to be a photographer for bands, and then boom, Michael Ford comes on, gives a little quick crash course. That's sick, dude. I love. See, I back when I was like 18, I was like in this huge like, oh, knowledge is power things. Like, so I'd be posting on Instagram, be like, hey, here's this guitar scale, here's this guitar scale. Do I know those guitar scales still? No, but back when I was
Hey,
18, I was like very
if it
into it.
helps somebody, it
Yeah,
helps somebody. I like to say that because Hunter from Saints is like
yeah,
one of my best friends.
oh yeah,
I like to say that I want to be somebody's Hunter
yeah,
because Hunter taught me so much stuff about just music and the music scene and like just etiquette
yeah,
and how to not be an asshole in dealing with people.
yeah,
And I want to be able to do that for somebody. Like I want to be able to teach somebody photography in that way that is afraid to get into it. Because I mean, growing up, I was never even today. Like I think my work's good. I'll be cocky. I don't care.
yeah.
My work speaks for itself. But there's a lot of photographers that are a lot more well known than me. And so because of that, people tend to flock to them instead. And so I always feel kind of like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. So that way, whenever somebody you get up there,
Yeah.
because you're going to network yourself a lot more than I am.
Yeah.
So here you go. Like, go do great things.
Yeah. No, I get that, and that's like you saying, "Oh, I want to be someone's hunter." Like I'm going through that same thing right now. Like as I'm wrapping up college, like I have a lot of badass friends that do badass things. Like I have one buddy who is working for a contracted company through the government that he had to get top security clearance for. Like had to do a polygraph, all this stuff. There's like a 9 month process for him to even get like the security clearance. And I have another buddy who's doing like a co-op thing at another government contracted company. And then one of those guys know the person who leads the meta team as a software engineer who didn't even get a freaking college degree. He's working at Facebook, making like 500K a year. And it's like,
All about who you know.
yeah, that's exactly all it is. And so but it's like I totally get that. I'm at that same spot. I want to be the person that one of my friends brag about. It's like, oh, I know so and so. It's like I think that's the dream, that you want to be worth something. You want to be notable or be like, oh, this person's notable for this, or this is the best at this or whatever. I just think that's just the human drive. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we want to be remembered. What's the song? Um, what's the point? What's the point of a life that no one remembers? I think it's a line from a Polaris song.
I don't I don't doubt that
Like,
at all.
like, I mean, at the end of the day, live for you.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
like, if I made an impact on somebody in my life, that's all I care about.
Yeah. Even if it's something small, even if it's like, you're trying to get home, you want to go home, and then so you see someone coming in on the on ramp, you're like, I'll let them in. They might be like, hey, it's shitty traffic out, but I
You don't do that
appreciate
in
you.
Texas. Uh-uh. We'll push them
maybe,
into the barrier.
maybe that's a more northern Midwest thing.
I'm just I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. Unfortunately, that's how people down here drive. But no,
Yeah,
yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's like just little choices here and there.
yeah. It's like it
The butterfly
costs.
effect.
Yeah, but one of the funny sayings is like, it costs $0 to be nice, but even being an asshole, having to pay to be an asshole can still be fun sometimes, depending on the circumstance. If you're giving your buddy a hard time or something, but it's out of love, right? It's like
Exactly.
it's fun to be a turd, but it's even more fun to be nice. It's like to have a positive impact on someone's day. Even if it's just doing the right thing or making something wrong into right, that can still benefit you mentally
Yeah,
so it can totally turn your day around.
I used to hang out with people that were downers about themselves, downers about their friends, and like all we would do is just talk shit. And
Yeah,
so whenever I started doing things in my life, I would go to them. I'd be like, "Hey guys, I did this." And like, "Oh, we get it. You have money now." And it's like, I don't have money. I just have ambition, and I'm doing things I want to do.
yeah,
And so I started to not associate with them because every time it would be like a one up thing.
yeah,
And now I associate with people that are like, "You're doing this, badass. What are you doing, badass? What are you
yeah,
doing? How can we put all of our stuff together?"
yeah. And see, that's like you getting tied in with Saints. It's like you guys support each other. You go shoot for Saints, or you go hang out with them, do their portraits, whatever, and
Yeah,
maybe you'll get a
exactly.
tour with them.
And
And it's
yeah, like I'm best friends with it. Like I'm their photographer.
yeah,
Like I might as well put in my bio that I'm the photographer for them and like nothing for you. And I
yeah,
try to also be like the video guy. But again, another thing is like video isn't my top thing. So we actually had a conversation the other day and it's like, "Hey, I'll do like X, Y, and Z for you guys." And they told me like, "Hey, we're thinking about going a different direction with this in the future." And I was like, "Of course. Like just let me do your photos."
yeah,
I know where I'm lacking, and it's not a hit to my ego to not do everything content wise for you guys.
yeah, yeah. Like knowing your strengths and accepting your weaknesses. Although I think it's important to strengthen your weaknesses whenever you can. Like I think one of the biggest examples of this is this guy, this Muay Thai fighter. There's got he could pretty much break an MLB baseball bat right on like the thickest part of it, which is like the hardest spot to break it because those things are enduring so many thousands of pounds of power. He just shatters it with his shin. Like this dude's just like set up in the corner of a ring, just getting blow after blow to the ab area. He's like that's just 30 minutes of his training. He's like you got to learn to take it. So it's like once you master one thing, move on to your weaknesses. It's like, but
Exactly.
right now, that's for you to decide. It's not like I'm not saying to go do your cinematography or videography.
Yeah.
Do wherever you think needs to be mastered, and then once you get where you're like, I don't know where else I can take this. Just to continue that state of forward motion. Be like, okay, work on this. I know I can work on this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's also a thing about like there being levels to everything. Like right
Yeah.
now, there are certain bands that are on a different level than I am. And so if I did like a music video for them, it'd be a disservice to them because they're above what my level is. So, but like if there's like a new band and they're like, "Hey, we need something," I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's do it," and I will give you guys a better music video than you'll probably think, and I
Yeah.
can also sharpen my own skills.
Yeah. See, like that, it's all perspective. If it's a band starting out, you're like, hey, I'll do a little work for you guys. I'm like, wow, this Michael guy's really the shit. But you're in your head, you're like, I'm adequate, but I'm not the greatest.
Yeah.
It's like you've made a name
Oh,
for
dude,
yourself.
I've turned down stuff before because I'm like, no, like I can't do this.
Yeah.
You guys are above what I can provide.
Yeah.
But here's some people that you can go to. And in return, I've had photographers send bands my way because they're like, "Hey, you want this kind of style? You should hit up this guy, not me. That's not my
Yeah.
thing."
Have you ever had the idea? Maybe this is just me thinking of things in a different way, not saying it's right or wrong, or how you went about it, right or wrong. Have you ever thought about when you think of something is out of your league, instead of saying, sorry, I can't do that, instead of maybe say, would you mind if I tried for free, and if you thought I did adequate, then you pay me? So at the very least, you're getting an insane big name on your resume.
So the problem with that is whenever you set the expectation of free, that's the expectation. So like
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be like, hey, I'll do this for free, but if it's good, I want to be paid. Like I feel like that kind of would leave a sour taste. And at the same time, like I put myself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I was this band of this caliber, would I want to trust in this completely new person? I would want to, but I know that for what I'm doing, I would need something more.
Yeah.
And so like there's a band that I back whenever I was doing music videos, there's a local band that I've worked with recently. And at the beginning they were like, "Hey, we're going to go with somebody else. Like we don't think you're there yet. But whenever you are there, we'll do something together." And now I've done a few shows for them, done a few things for them. It's all about like I don't know. I think people really appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. No,
So if something
yeah,
comes
yeah.
up and I'm like, "Hey, I never say like, "Hey, I suck at this."
Right.
I just
It's just
say
being
like,
honest with you
"Hey,
and yourself.
yeah, like I'm not up to the caliber you guys need. You guys need somebody better than me. Like here it is. I'll hit you guys. Like I'll keep you guys in the loop of where I'm at. But for now, you guys would definitely be better going off this way." And I know a lot of like there's business people and just photographers cringing at me saying that because they're like, "Hey, take the gig." But
Yeah.
I don't know. It. I would rather them. I would rather not take the chance of ruining a connection because I've almost ruined connections before because the work that I put out was subpar.
Yeah. Well, I just play devil's advocate here and maybe give you a little bit more of a confidence boost in your work. I personally, as well, I mean, who am I? I don't do photography. I don't follow a lot of photography. Personally, I think your work is good. I think the photos you put up for Saints Can Lie are very good. And like the other bands, I don't know what other bands you've done off the top of my head, but I know I've seen other work on your page before. I think they're just as good as anybody else's. Like I couldn't tell you the difference between your work or somebody else's work, but I'm also not looking for the differences because photography isn't something totally up my alley, but I love talking about people's passions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And that is another thing though, is like at the end of the day, who's going to be looking at your work? People,
Yeah,
regular people. It's not just going to be critiqued by
yeah,
photographers. But I'm talking more so just in like the video. When it comes to photography, I will never turn out a photography gig because I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, I can do whatever you want. I'm confident enough in my ability to figure out what you want. It's more so like when it comes down to music videos, which is what I first started
yeah,
doing, that it's like, ah, man, I just don't do music videos anymore. I did one recently because the people that I did it for paid me 2 years ago to do it, and then
yeah,
plans fell through and we never rescheduled, and so we're finishing that one up. But after this one, I'm not gonna do a lot of music videos. I'll make
yeah,
a lot of reels next year. Like I'll do live show recaps, documentary
yeah.
style
For you
stuff,
and growing your
playthroughs.
brand. Yeah,
Yeah, and even for bands like documentary style stuff for bands. Like
yeah,
I'll do all that kind of stuff. But music videos, no,
yeah.
not my forte right now.
Yeah, here's an idea for you and the Saints Can Lie guys. If they, well, hopefully when they put out the album, they go on tour. Just do a documentary of it. Just do, I don't know, like 30 seconds every day, and then throw a compilation together at the end of it. And then I think that'd be sick. I think
What
that'd be
all
really
have the
sick.
Saints Can Lie guys told you about the new album? Have they told you like if they've finished recording it or any of that stuff?
I haven't talked about like logistics for Saints Can Lie since like August.
And what were they telling you at that point?
That they have stuff coming out soon.
Okay, cool. So in that case, I can say, in the studio, I have on my computer probably about a terabyte worth of footage just of them in the studio, different things. So we're already starting to kind of work on something like that for them.
That is super sick. Because like what I really liked with Periphery is the documentation of their latest album. Like they kind of
I
did like a
love
30-minute
album talk.
documentary. Like I think it's so sick to see how they, tone chase this specific part. And if you do like heavy stuff, and I'm sure you've heard of the song, but Blood Eagle by Periphery,
I've heard it.
yeah, it's just But like you were saying, if you like the sound a band makes off of one song you listen to, Blood Eagle is not a periphery song. Like, it's
All of my
so,
friends
yeah.
sent me Blood Eagle, and they were like, "Hey, you don't really jive with Periphery that much. You're gonna like this song though."
Yeah, it's Spencer's tone doesn't come through until like the 2 minute mark. Like it's just straight, just disgusting metal sounds. But I loved it, and I'm like, hey, this is my favorite song off of the Hail Stan or whatever that was called. I thought it was called Hail Satan when it first came. I'm like, that's badass. Like, not that I'm like a devil worship or anything, but it's just like just to have that audacity. I like stuff that has shock value and just stuff that people don't normally do behind it. It's like it's just words for it's just an album name that
Yep.
like I thought it was sick, and then they kind of memed around with it for a little bit on social media.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm like, that's so sick. And then I don't know, dude. Periphery to me is you have a lot of talented musicians. It's like having a stacked team in a professional sport. That's how I feel Periphery is. Like they're all good in their own dimension.
I watched their making of album or their making of video because I love first documentary I watched was Parkway Drive's tour documentary that they did when they were touring Deep Blue, and that was, I guess you could say, that's what sparked my love for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Would you ever do work like that, like with a band? Like, hey,
100%. I'm trying to piece together something for someone like that whenever they are ready to put out more stuff. Wink, wink.
Wink,
a band
wink.
We've already talked about.
Yeah. I got the jive there, but yeah, no, dude, I love that. And honestly, if you're like pursue that as a full time thing, dude, I would be so hyped for you. Like, because I love listening to stuff like that, even if it's like an audio only format. Because like I like to listen to stuff when I drive around. So like, even if I don't get to watch YouTube video, I'll also like put up like a documentary on YouTube on my phone while it's like Bluetooth in my car and just listen to it. I love, yeah. It's so
I
like,
do have
yeah.
like MMA podcasts and stuff, or just like MMA documentaries, because like UFC.
Yeah, dude, I love the UFC. I don't watch as much, but my buddy showed me this website where you can watch any sport for free, even UFC
just go
and
on
boxing.
TikTok.
You just go on TikTok?
Send me the website, but I just go on TikTok. There's a guy that I follow that live streams them. I know we're running out of time, but did you see the Leon Edwards Kamaru Usman head kick?
No, wait.
The title fight. It was earlier this year. Okay, you need to, if you want inspiration, watch that fight. So Leon Edwards getting his, I wouldn't say he's getting his ass kicked, but Kamaru Usman is a wrestler, so he's wrestling Leon Edwards the entire fight. He's gonna win the fight. Going into the 5th round, Leon Edwards didn't even want to look at his coach, and his coach gets in there. And he's like, quit feeling fucking sorry for yourself. You have one opportunity to do this. This is your time. You're gonna lose the fight if you don't knock him out. Like, quit feeling sorry for yourself. And with like 20 seconds to go in the fight, the ref stands him back up because nothing was happening with the wrestling. And I think he throws a left. Usman ducks it and he head kicks it. Boom. Lights out. And then in his post, and then John Anik, the commentator, was like, that is not before the head kick. They were like, Leon Edwards needs to finish this. And John Anik says, that is not the cloth from which he's cut. As soon as he finishes that, that's when it happens.
Wow.
Post-fight interview, Leon Edwards, like, they all doubted me. They all said I couldn't do it. Look at me now. I come from Jamaica. I had nothing to my name. I moved to the UK. Like, I had nothing to my name. Look at me now. You need to listen to it. I listen to it every day before I work out.
Really? Dude, that is so... I love stuff like... So speaking of like inspirators, though, this might be one of the last topics we touch on. Other than it'll be this one, then one last thing that I have planned for every episode. But out of my favorite inspirators, I think Jason Capital and Dan Pena are my top 2. And
like people that bring inspiration?
Yeah. Like inspirational talkers, motivators, all that stuff. Dan Pena is like 60 or 70 something. He has this castle in Sweden that people can pay $20,000 for 2 weeks to go over to, and he will start to be a lifelong mentor for them. and he has generated over $50 billion of wealth for his mentees.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Dude,
So,
I'm gonna be honest, I don't follow a lot of inspirational people.
I will say,
It was never a thing for me.
so you know how Andrew Tate was kind of like very aggressive behind his words, very boom, bang, boom, just very kind of like uppercutty with his words. Dan Pena's the same way, and that's how he is when he has people over at the castle. However, like he will break people down. He's like, I've had people piss themselves, shit themselves, whatever, start crying during my lectures. But here's what I do. I break them down during the 2-hour lecture every day, and I take them one by one and say, what are your dreams? What are your goals? How can I help you get on the track to try and achieve this? And once they leave that castle, he has them write an email to him every month what they have done to try and better themselves to achieve their goals. And he'll give them like feedback and advice and like congratulate them and stuff.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, I love it. And the second guy, Jason Capital, he is a mentee of Dan Pena. And Jason Capital is like, well, really, I say look him up on TikTok and see what you think. Dan Pena taught him everything he knows. Like, it's crazy.
I'll have to look it up. I will say, like, again, I was never into the whole inspirational speaker kind of thing. Because, like,
Yeah.
I personally, the only ones that I've encountered are just the regurgitated, like, BS kind
Yeah.
of people. And it's like, you're saying these things in, like, such a strong, like, you're very confident in what you're saying. But it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't found one that I can personally jive with, but I'll definitely check them out.
The reason why I like Dan Pena is because he grew up as a nobody. Like, he failed college like 2 or 3 times, and then he came back and graduated with honors. And he's like, there's only 3 things I regret in life. 1, not trying hard enough. 2, never seen combat when I was in the military. And 3, his mom got sick while she was visiting his castle. And he was like, Mom, quit being a bitch. You're going to be fine. Next day, she died. That's a very heavy hitter. He's like, that's one of the biggest things I regret. Yeah. But like, he's very like, don't stress the small things. But, like, he's very anti. If someone's going to cut him off in traffic, he's like, I don't care. It's like so very little picture, but like someone else could be like, oh, that just ruined my week. Da, 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 all this stuff, right? But he's like, that's going to affect how much money I made today. Yeah.
Car whenever you get home from that drive.
Yeah, like he's very don't sweat the small stuff. Like that's just there's different styles of motivation, and maybe you won't like Dan Pena. If you don't, I'm sorry I made you look him up or whatever. But there's yeah. I would say it's very nice to listen to some motivation, whatever you may like, or maybe motivation might come from music or a podcast or a documentary.
I think that's mostly mine comes from like live motivation. So like if somebody's trying to motivate me, I'm like, okay, cool. But the live moment, like that's what I love about the UFC. Like with that Leon Edwards thing. I guess coach gets in there and it's like, yo, this is the heat of the moment. Like quit fucking around.
Yeah.
Get shit done.
Yeah.
That's the kind of and then, music has always been my biggest motivator.
Yeah.
But no, dude, I've been going to the gym a lot lately. If I drive to the gym, I'm listening to that interview.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to. And
listen to that corner.
Yeah. That or throw on Casey, get a little emotional before you go in there and then just kick out some iron, dude. That's the way.
Cry while doing leg presses.
Just cry while doing. You start crying while you're benching or whatever. Some dude looks over, you're like, "What the fuck's wrong with this guy?"
Just drop the weights. Just like, you know what? Just take me out.
Just take me out.
Take me out now.
Just take me out. But okay, we'll swing to the last thing. If you want to push out one message to the world, what do you want people to know you by? It can be motivational. It can be plugging yourself, or it can be a mixture of both. Whatever you want to say. What do you want everyone to hear?
Don't be a dick. Be empathetic. Like, there's a lot of hate going on in every facet of the world. And just love. Like, that's it. Love people.
Love people.
Stop trying to one-up people. At the end of the day, everybody dies. Everybody's gonna die the same way. I mean, not the same way, but like you're either gonna be buried or cremated. So
yeah,
why do you want to live your life being an asshole?
Yeah, we all die.
Competition.
We all die. After we're dead, we're all the same thing, and before we're born, we're all the same thing. So why not try and help
Two
each
things
other
everybody
out?
has in common.
Yeah.
We all live, we all die.
Yeah. But no, dude, I totally appreciate having you on. And despite it was probably the longest wait ever for an episode, I totally appreciate the patience and everything. But like, I had no problem with
Appreciate your
rescheduling.
patience waiting
No, dude.
the 6 months.
Oh, I don't. It doesn't bother me at all. Like the podcast was just starting out. You're like, hey, I want to be on the podcast. I'm like, I only have one episode out. I was like, I'm a nobody. But
Dude, it was that thing. It was I wanted to be on one, and I put out a feeler. I was like, "Yo, does anybody know anybody?" And then that was literally like the week after they filmed with you. I didn't even know they were recording one.
Yeah.
And so Jake was like, "Hey, I just did this one. Do you want me to plug you like for him?" I was like, "Yes, do it."
Here we are, dude.
I love podcasts.
That's the beauty of networking. I think that's another note to end on too. Network your fucking ass off if you want to be successful.
In my design journal, I have written network, network, network.
The three ends, but they're the same word. That's beautiful. No, dude. Like
Network,
I said,
network.
I appreciate you. And if in a couple months you want to be back on and share more of your work or stories and stuff, I'd love to have you on.
Dude, for sure. I got plenty of stories.
Sweet, dude. All right, man. I will let you get driving home so you can go back as it's getting close to, holy cow, 2 hours, 43 minutes. Wow. This is going to be a long one, but no, dude. I appreciate you. Have a good drive,
All right,
dude.
thanks, man.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye.